Hey everybody, I'm Robert Yerby, and I'm an insurance professional, and admittedly, kind of an insurance nerd. My friends and family tell me that nobody is going to want to listen to a podcast about insurance. So instead, on this show, I'm hoping to share a story or have a conversation with a guest about some relatable experience, and then show you how insurance impacts that story or topic. My hope is you'll enjoy a few laughs with me and maybe learn at least one interesting thing about insurance along the way. Here we go. Hey everybody, this is Robert and it is podcast time. I am coming to you from Lima, Peru. And over the course of this episode, it's going to sound like I am sitting in traffic. I'm in the median in the middle of a highway. There's so much traffic noise, and I've tried everything I can to find a quiet space in this Airbnb where I'm staying. And, you know, the acoustics in the bathroom were horrible for a different reason, but I was still getting traffic noise leaking into the audio, even in there. I'm actually 9 floors up. All right. I am in unit 902 in this apartment complex in the Barranco neighborhood of Lima. And I apologize about the road noise. But yeah, I'm on the road. We're doing this. And this is my first real stop as I try this new thing, you know, going out and living in different places for a month at a time and just seeing how I like it. I arrived in Lima. Let's see, I think I've spent 3 nights here now. So I'm getting very used to the time change. I'm getting used to my surroundings here. One of the things I don't know if I'm going to get used to, the apartment, it does not have any heat or air conditioning, which I guess they don't think is a problem. I don't know. I think it's chilly, being from Arizona. The temperature doesn't really fluctuate much, even day to night to day to night. It's been about 60 degrees overnight. It's about 70 degrees high during the day. Most people would say that that's pretty comfortable, and maybe you don't need heat or air conditioning, but I'm a little chilly. And the bigger thing is, it is so loud. The apartment's on a busy street. Okay, I get that. But like the balcony door doesn't really come flush and fully closed. Like I can see outside through the little crack. And then there's these vents along the side of the wall that are just open to the air. Like there's no screen on it even. It's kind of crazy. I don't understand that. Anyway, that explains the noise. Lima is going to be the subject of the podcast. This has been an interesting few days. So yesterday was the first day that I really got to get out and about and wander around. And I decided, you know, part of my usual like workout routine is I walk on a treadmill and I read the Wall Street Journal, and that's for about an hour every single day. And I decided, you know what, I'm not gonna spend an hour on a treadmill here in this new country. I'm gonna go see some things. I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna get my walking in, but I'm not gonna read the paper. I'm gonna go see some things. I'm gonna be outside. And so long as it's not raining, I'm going to do that every day here. So I'll catch up on the paper whenever, you know, that'll always be there. I'm not always going to be in Peru. So I went out for a walk yesterday, and I just decided I'm going to walk north. Okay, I'll keep the ocean on my left. I'm just going to walk north towards Miraflores neighborhood, which I had heard good things about. Boy, I feel like I had a destination in mind, like a specific spot, but I don't remember what that is now. Because once I started walking, I was seeing things. Frankly, I saw a bridge over, like a 6-lane highway, and that looked interesting. It was right on the water, and I wanted to see where that led. So I took that. There was like a big park, and then there was a mall with some restaurants and lots of shops, several of which were super familiar to me as an American. And so I wandered around there a little bit. Actually, I got something to eat. I had what was basically like a turkey sandwich and a pisco sour. And that was the first time I had one of those. That was good. The turkey sandwich was all right, but the drink was pretty darn good. I kept walking from there, walked more into the Miraflores neighborhood. And once I had crossed over like this main street that was adjacent to that mall, like it was busy. It was clearly a tourist area, lots of people walking around. There was lots of shops, lots of restaurants, bars. Seemed like there were some historical sites mixed in. I saw some signs for some things. I was kind of lazy. I didn't walk up to them and try and translate it into English. They looked like maybe they were some churches. I left that. I'm sure that I'll be back in that neighborhood, so I sort of left that alone. I had a menswear store catch my eye, and one of the things that was on my list, I wanted to check out some of the fashion, and so I went in there. I actually end up finding a sport coat and some shoes. I got some pants to kind of go with all of that. And all in all, I think the sport coat in particular, I'm really pleased with. All in all, like it was super affordable relative to what I would probably spend if I was in, Scottsdale, Arizona. Definitely cheaper than anything I'd get in Scottsdale. And so the story that I really want to share starts immediately following me purchasing these clothes. Okay, now the pants that I purchased had to be tailored. Fortunately, they had a tailor right there on site, and they were gonna take care of this immediately. So the gal who was helping me, she said, "Hey, just come on back in like 15, 20 minutes, and we'll have them ready for you." So I'm like, okay. So I figured, you know what, in that amount of time, I bet you I can find a bar and I can grab another drink, and maybe I'll have, a patio or a balcony that's overlooking the street here, and I can just kind of people watch for 20 minutes and have a nice drink, right? By the way, it's just me here in Lima, okay? My girlfriend didn't come with me. There's no family with me. It's just me hanging out and exploring on my own. That's also kind of important to the story, I think. So I head out of the menswear store. I hang a left, and I'm just walking. Just probably the first bar that I'll see, I'll pop into. Well, right away, this lady comes up to me, and she's got an empty baby bottle. And she says, "Oh, señor, please help." And she's like, "I no need money, no dinero. She's like, I need milk for my baby." And she's got, it looks like a friend of hers is pushing a baby stroller. And not for nothing, but it wasn't really a baby. It looked like the kid was like 3 years old. Little girl. I don't know if that's a critical detail, but it's a pretty big kid. And I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like, yeah, all right. I'm a soft touch. Whatever. Your kid's hungry. Sure. I'll get the kid something to eat. So as soon as I said, yeah, okay, these two ladies that were walking in front of us, they both turned around at the same time, and they both gave me like the bug eyes, like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing? What are you thinking?" And I think one of them kind of shook her head, and then they turned back around. And so, that made me think, like, oh, what is going on here? Did I miss something? Is this not a good idea? That starts rolling through my head. And then right at that point, the lady with the empty bottle, she kind of grabs my elbow and she goes, "Oh, no, we need to go this way." And they spun around, her, the other lady in the stroller. And so I turned, and there was another lady that was like walking right next to them in the same direction we had been. And that lady, she shakes her head at me, and then she also does like the Makembe Matumbo like finger wag thing, and no. So now I'm really thinking, I'm like, wait, something's up here. Like all these women that are like signaling me that this is a bad idea, they all look like they're local, or at least local enough. Maybe they know this is like a regular scam, like a known scam. So I said, no, I got to go this way. I was not going to turn around. I was also thinking of the John Mulaney bit where he's talking about street smarts, like the assembly at his elementary school, street smarts, and how like the kidnappers were always going to try and get you to a secondary location. So immediately when she's like, "Oh, we got to go over here," I was like, "Secondary location? Yeah, I can't be doing that." So yeah, I said, "I got to go this way." So they spin around again, and now they're following me. And at this point, I feel like on the street we've become a little bit of a spectacle, and now everybody is paying attention. And I feel like everybody's eyes that I meet, they're all looking at me like, "Don't do it. Don't fall for this." They all have this look of concern for me, and they're all kind of like shaking their head. No. So at this point, I don't know what the scam is, but like if it was just, "Hey, she needs milk," like I don't even know what that would cost. What is it? $1, maybe. If that's all it was, like, okay, whatever. I was perfectly fine giving that up. But if there's some bigger scam going on here, like I was going to get led into an alley and just mugged, and, some thugs beat the hell out of me. Like I obviously don't want to do that. So I don't know what the scam is, but I know something's up. Okay. Something's going on here, and people are trying to alert me. So I'm going to pay attention. So now I'm heading back towards the menswear store, and the lady and the other lady with the stroller, they're all jabbering away at me, and they want me to go into this pharmacy. All right. It was like a couple of doors down. "No, let's just go into this pharmacia. I was like, no, I can't. I said, "No, lo siento, I got to be somewhere. Lo siento. Anyway, I walked past the pharmacy, and I think the lady with the stroller stopped there at the pharmacy, but the other lady who was initially talking to me with the baby bottle, she keeps walking next to me on my left, and she keeps like, no, please, senor, please. And I get back to the menswear store, and I just duck into the store, and they had like 2 security guards outside there. And I think, hey, if this is a known scam, she's not going to follow me into the store. The security guys will take care of her. And she didn't follow me in. So, okay, so it hasn't been long enough for me to pick up my stuff. So they had a third security guy inside the store, much deeper, like closer to the register. I went up to that guy, and my Spanish isn't great. And this guy's English was not any better, but I was able to tell him best I could. Like I'm pointing out at the door, and I know leche, I know chica, I know niña. I'm trying to piece together this story for him, and in my really poor Spanish, I'm able to convey to him what just happened, and he's kind of looking at me, and he's nodding, and I think he understood what happened, and maybe because this is just a popular scam, like he'd heard this before, and he's like, yeah. And because my Spanish, again, not very good, and his English is not very good, he couldn't explain to me what happened. Maybe he didn't even understand what I was asking. I basically wanted to know, like, what just happened? What is she trying to do to me here? And if he understood what I was asking, I didn't understand the explanation. But that went on for a few minutes, and then my pants were ready, and I was picking everything up, and I'm sort of like looking out the front of the store, which is a good. I mean, the store's pretty deep. It's probably 50 yards deep. So, no, that's not right. I mean, 35 yards deep anyway. And so I'm trying to look like, is that lady still sitting out the front door? And I didn't see her, so I walk out confidently with my clothes now. I got like 2 bags and the sport coat on a hanger, and it's gonna be a ways. It's gonna be a ways to walk home. I thought about getting an Uber, but then I was like, I don't want to be getting into an Uber, like waiting even 3 minutes for an Uber right here. I don't want Milk Lady coming up to me and like bugging me again. So I just start walking. And I start walking now south, back towards my Airbnb. And I swear, on the other side of the road, I see somebody else. It's not the same lady, but it's a different lady with a stroller and an empty bottle. And I'm like, what? What? I mean, just a block away from where it happened to me. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a thing. I don't know. I still don't know what the scam is exactly, but I'm like, all right, this is definitely a thing. I gotta get out of here. So I'm carrying all my bags. I'm heading down the street. I'm heading in the general direction of where my Airbnb is. I duck into the Hilton Miraflores. And my thought process here was not really to get away from anybody, because now this is kind of off the beaten path. It's off that main drag where it's just wall-to-wall people. But I'm familiar with Hilton hotels, and I thought they're going to have a bar in here, and I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to get that drink that I wanted, and just kind of decompress for a second. And so I did. And right about the time I sat down, my son Brandon called, and one of the things that he wanted to know, how Peru was. And one of the things I mentioned to him was like, something just happened. This lady with the bottle, and Brandon has been to Greece with his in-laws, and I guess that's a known scam there also. His understanding of the scam was that they're going to try and lead you into a sort of like an enclosed space, and then there will be a lot of things going on. There'll be a lot of people, and they're distracting you, and then somebody will bump into you and pick your pocket, and that's the scam. It's not really about the milk or whatever it is that they're initially asking for. So I was like, oh, okay, well, good to know. All right, I'll avoid that. I did look it up later, and there's a YouTube video I found where somebody's in Lima, and he's walking the street, and he runs into, like, in a matter of a few minutes, he runs into like 3 different ladies that are asking him for milk for their baby. And I think it was in the notes of the video, he says, yeah, they're in cahoots with the shop owners, and they'll just return the milk or whatever it is that you bought for them for cash later, and then the store owner gets a little kickback. All right, so I'm hip to that. Then to add on to this, I felt like that was a story I wanted to share with Daisha, my girlfriend. So I was talking to her later in the evening, and Daisha was pretty disappointed in me. she starts reading me the riot act. She was like, I told you not to be friendly with people. I told you to be careful. She's like, I said, head on a swivel. And here you are just walking around ready to like hand over money to people. And, I mean, she's not wrong. Like, she did tell me all of those things. And, yeah, I mean, I didn't listen. Like I said, I'm a soft touch. I was just like, yeah, your baby should have something to drink. Okay. Yep. I shouldn't believe people. You know, there's scammers everywhere. So sorry, babe. Anyway, back to the Hilton and the bar. There was a cool thing that happened. So I'm sitting at the bar, and I talked to Brandon for, I don't know, 25 minutes or something. And, I hang up the phone, and then the bartender comes over, and I had just gotten a second drink. Okay. So, I'm not even close to ready to leave. A bartender comes over, and he's like, hey, so, and by the way, everybody that works at the Hilton, they all spoke really good English. So the bartender comes over. He's like, hey, so there's going to be a bartending class coming in. And I don't know if you want to move or if that's going to bother you or anything, but like, you're free to move or you're free to stay if you don't mind sitting here while they're teaching this class. I was like, oh, right now, right here at the bar? I was sitting at this bar. It's kind of like a big circle. And he's like, yeah, they're coming in right now. And like, you're free to watch. And I used to be a certified bartender. I'd been to bartending school, and I thought, yeah, this will be interesting. Yeah, sure, I'll just sit here and watch. Well, wouldn't you know it, like 25 flight attendants come in. They're all in uniform. I forget the name of the airline. Maybe it was a Colombian airline. It was like Colombiana, Aero, blah blah blah. All learning how to make drinks. I was like, yeah, I could probably stick around for this. I don't have any place to be. So, I mean, I would have watched anybody learn how to make a pisco sour, but that was the class. They were teaching these flight attendants who clearly were not bartenders and, were not comfortable, with a bartending tin or any of the utensils and any of the tools. Then they did not feel comfortable with any of that. Well, they probably spent, no kidding, like 5 minutes trying to show them how to like open up the tin after you shook it. You kind of have to like hit it with the palm of your hand, kind of like you do like a Heinz 57 ketchup bottle that won't come out. And I wanted to be like, just hand that to me. Like, I'll show you this. This is not that hard. But I was just a spectator at this point. But anyway, they showed them how to make a pisco sour. And I probably didn't need the class. I could have figured that out by myself. But it was cool to watch. And the ladies were all having a good time with it. They were all good sports, even though they were a little awkward, making the drinks. It was cool. Once the first group of them had made them, it was a fun time because, okay, there was, 3 made drinks at this point. I don't speak real good Spanish. None of them really spoke English. It didn't seem like, but I got a straw and I, sampled, each of the drinks, and I made a big scene about how like, oh yeah, bien, delicioso, So that was cool. And, I watched maybe like 2 rounds of them, figure out how to make a pisco sour. And then I had finished my drink and I was on my way. Get in the Uber. The Uber was like $2.15 back to my place. It's so cheap to get around here. But anyway, I get back to this place here, and I had been thinking about the travel insurance policy that I bought. You might recall a couple episodes I've been talking to Jonna Hudson about getting a travel insurance policy mostly for medical expenses should I need it. But I bought a per trip policy. So I had coverage for 22 days while I'm traveling to and coming home from and the duration of my trip here in Peru. And I was thinking, I wonder if I had been scammed by the milk lady, is there any coverage for me for, any lost funds or whatever would have happened to me if I had followed through and been, I don't know, mugged or whatever the thing is, right? And so I went through the policy again. I'd read it before, but I read through it again. And it seems pretty clear that if I had voluntarily handed over money and I had been deceived, there's no coverage for that. Okay, that's going to be excluded. If I had been robbed, well, theft was an optional coverage that I did not select, but it was available. I might also have had some coverage for theft under my renter's insurance policy, subject to a deductible, but that's a possibility. And of course, if I had been beaten up and, hurt to the point where I needed medical attention, I would have had coverage for that. So for the most part, obviously I'm super glad I didn't fall for this. But even if I had handed over some money at the pharmacy, it doesn't seem like I would have had any coverage. Yeah, they would have had to rob me for quite a bit of money before anything, would have been covered under my, existing renter's insurance policies. And like I said, I didn't have the travel insurance coverage for theft. But I think knowing what I know now, I probably still wouldn't elect the coverage for theft on the travel policy. But yeah, I think probably the way that I need to handle these risks better is not to buy more insurance, but just be more aware and not be falling for that stuff. I think that's the way that I want to handle it. I think that's the way that Daisha wants me to handle it too. Anyway, so that's my story from Peru. When we have another episode in a couple of weeks, I'm sure I'll be doing that one from Peru also. At the very tail end there, we did have hopefully one interesting thing about insurance. Hey, if you're a licensed insurance producer or adjuster and you need insurance continuing education, check out our live webinars at bmfce.com. And hey, if you like this episode, maybe forward it to a friend, maybe one that travels internationally and maybe also has a soft heart. And clue them in. Maybe it won't be that particular scam, but wherever they're going, they'll watch some YouTube videos and get on Reddit and ask, what are the scams where I'm going? And maybe I'll help them out. And as always, leave us a rating, leave us a review, and check back in just a couple of weeks. We'll have another episode soon. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye.